Hello. Well, today and the days before, a lot of discussions in this conference was about smart cities. But you know, what's the most important part of the smart city? And the most important part of the smart city is human. So humans are living in cities, and besides thinking of making safe environments and infrastructures and networks, we also need to make sure how we can ensure safety of the social interactions and how we can ensure that the means and instruments of the online media and online communications are providing safety and reliability for the people who are using these environments. So let's take a look at the way the social interaction environments are designed and how they let people interact with each other. And if you look at any of the modern electronic ecosystem used by people for communication, you can see that there is kind of cloud. This cloud may be a social network, or it can be marketplace, or it can be some e-commerce platform, or a messaging platform, or some another communication tool. And people are sending posts and messages through the network. They send in chat messages, they're sending emails. They can also publish different posts in different forums and social networks, and they can publish comments on these posts. And they can also direct queries and requests towards the electronic system. And they do that explicitly, but besides explicit requests to the online environment, people are doing implicit requests, like they are implicitly sending information to the network just by the matter of living and interacting with the online devices. Like if I am traveling with my mobile turned on, I'm instantly sending my geographical information to the network, which can be also used to make some decisions and draw some conclusions. So all these sorts of information is used to update the outer electronic cloud with information from every member of community, which can be used for profiling, for monitoring, for agglomerating information about people. But that's the stream of information which is going from people to the system. But there is another sort of information that is going from the system to the people in the other direction. So emails are eventually coming back to people, to those who are receivers of the sent messages or emails. And then search results being requested by people are also returned to the requesters. And there are some push notifications, updates, alerts that are generated by the system on itself, given different policies and rules based on the specific applications. So there is another flow of information which is coming from the system through the people, and that can be thought as a management. So you can think of, in terms of organization of the human body, if you think of the whole society as an organism, then you have the human brain, which collects the information from the sensors, and then after the information is processed by the human brain, the brain is sending information, signals back to the muscles, and the muscles are acting. So the brain is collecting the information and it is directing the actions towards the physical environment of the human brain. And so we can see the same picture with the society. So information is collected, then the information is processed, and there is a management actions being directed from the computing environment to the humans, implicitly or explicitly. And then, if there is a way to hack into the system, if there is a way to somehow hack the information which is being sent from people to the environment, and then insert some messages or some agenda or some directions that is being transmitted in the way back, you effectively can get control over the society and over the community, and then you can exploit the whole system that we are talking about in order to execute your own agenda. And normally, I can just give two examples. One example is a kind of military application of the military use of the social media, when so-called psychological operations can be used to impact on the state of given society, being a target of psychological operations from another alien society. So the internal affairs of the society being under attack can be affected by this kind of manipulation on the social media. Another sort of manipulation is what we normally call online marketing, but we can actually distinguish two sorts of online marketing. And one kind of online marketing is when you actually do the advertising. Let's say I have some goods, I am selling some software, or I am selling some sort of cybersecurity applications or devices, and I want to increase my sales. So I pay money to the advertisers, to Google AdWords or any banner network or Facebook, and people are seeing my ads and people are buying information, buying my services. So that's kind of reasonable use of manipulation. But what if I am just doing the scam? What if I am just trying to build some financial pyramid, or I am just trying to offer some junk goods, or just not a goods at all, or just I'm providing some fake services, and then I'm using the same advertisement mechanisms. I'm paying money to the same channels to attract some ads, and then people are seeing my ads and buying the junk goods, or paying me money and not getting any service at all, and then I'm actually hurting the society. So the goal of the project that we are working on at the goal of a few different solutions that I will be talking about today is to prevent this sort of manipulation, which can be hurting either communities or customers or entire societies. In order to understand the scale of the problem, let's just take a look at the scale at which the human community is being involved in the sort of operations that we are talking about. Is just kind of half of human community is under this or that social network, or a combination of social network, like more than 2 billion people are connected to the Facebook, and about 1 billion people is connected to the major social networks and messaging platforms in China, and there are much more different social networks and e-commerce platforms, hundreds and probably tens of hundreds of them around the world, and we are interacting with them on the daily basis. And what is more important is that during the last years, there are becoming more non-human agents or non-human participants in these networks than there are humans now. So it is expected that in this year there will be more than 15 billion of IoT devices. So given we have just 7.5 billion people on the earth, we have twice more devices. And with every year, with every development of the artificial intelligence technology, the devices are getting more smart. So eventually people are being involved in the computing environment when some of the participants in these environments are not humans, but these non-human bots or software agents that are capable to do something, they also may be capable to execute some manipulation tasks, like there may be bots selling some goods, or there may be bots providing some political or commercial agenda. And the people should be getting familiar with situation when you go somewhere in some place online, it may be marketplace or a social network, and you may experience that there are more bots around you than real people. So in some cases it may be danger of that kind. And the story is that the manipulation of this sort, the manipulation which is used to either sell some inappropriate goods or manipulation intended to destroy some community or society or make any other benefits of from one person for the benefit of another person. That's called manipulation, that's called social engineering. That's not new to society. People were using all these techniques for the whole history of community and the whole history of humanity. But during just very few years, there were multiple important changes. So first of all, the connectivity has changed just from tens of people to millions of people. So if in the old good times, normal person would interact just with few tens of relatives and coworkers in the village or in the working community or in the neighborhood, and the human brain was evolved through this evolution of the human being to the extent that the average person can deal with few tens of reliable connections. But right now, when you go online, you are immediately exposed to communication with millions of people. And you can reach and see these people at huge speeds. Like before, if you needed to send the message, the message travel from person A to person B, the time might take days, weeks, and sometimes even months. But right now, any message from person A to person B in any place of the globe may be just less than a second. Just hit the enter, and or you click the like, and the fiber optic channel transmit your action with a light of speed. And so the reliability of your communication and social interaction changes from the relatives and neighbors who you know during all of your life and during many years of living together or working together, but you are now exposed to complete strangers. So if you go online again, you may see a lot of people that you never see and will never see before, and new people may be appearing on your news feeds or knocking to you in your messengers on every day, and you have no idea who these people really are. So here is the real pain. So here is an example of what is happening now on the marketplaces, online marketplaces like Amazon. And it is known problem that if you consider specific price ranges of the products on Amazon, you will figure out that half of the ratings left in these product categories, like cheap headsets, like cheap books, some kinds of accessories in the price range between $10 and $50, that almost half of the ratings of these products are fake. And so when you go to buy a headset or some cooking book or some accessories or kitchen stuff, you may see 5 stars, 5 stars, 5 stars, but all these 5 stars may be actually fake. And the way these 5 stars are made fake depends on platform for platform. For example, if you go on Twitter, there is another way to create fake accounts. If you go to Facebook, there is a third way to create a fake accounts. If we consider Amazon, for example, then there was some evolution. Like in the old days, the sellers of the junk and low quality and fake products, they could easily pump up their ratings by means of just creating bots that would just pretend to be real humans, and the bots were just writing reviews and providing stars for the junk and fake buys. So the people were coming and buying the fake goods, and people were upset, and people were providing the down ratings, claiming that the boot is low quality, and so the products were removed from the listing, but then they were just registering another seller and providing another army of bots, and these bots were creating fake ratings again, and so there was an ongoing revival and rotation of these fake accounts. So in the current days, Amazon, for instance, is trying to fight this problem with what they call verified rating. So right now, it is not possible to provide a rating for the product on Amazon just because of you have a software which automates process of clicking the stars, 5 stars, and writing a review. Right now, in order to write a rating review and provide a star rating on Amazon, you need to actually have a purchase. You need to actually buy a product, and based on your buy and based on your real money transfer, you need to actually have the transaction, and your review and your star rating should be associated with this transaction. So the cheaters have the strategy changed. So what they do now, they actually go online and just hire the people. So, for example, if you are seeing some advertisements that like part-time job, just 5 days a week, and high compensation, some of these advertisements may be about just hiring the people who would be just making fake purchases, actually spending their money, but then this money would be reimbursed to people back, and the people were just paid extra commission for providing the fake ratings. So now, if before bots were writing reviews for real people, right now bots are hiring people to write the real reviews for the fake products. So it's getting more, the world is getting more and more complicated, and while people are trying to find cures against gaming, the gamers are trying to find new tools and new ways how to game the audience. And so that's the picture we see now is about the current situation with all of these reviews are actually paid for people buying the fake, performing the real buys, but being reimbursed and paid the commission. So that's one problem that we are trying to solve with reputation systems. And the list of different applications where the reputation systems capable to resist software engineering and opinion manipulation is long. So we can consider marketplaces where we can suppress fake game ratings, and we can straighten the unfair competition. The news filtering. So probably you heard about the fake news, where the psychological operations between the governments or dirty election campaigns between different candidates within local elections for within normal democratic process. Everything may be connected with fake news, with propaganda, and so you need to be able to identify which information you see online is more reliable and which is not. So you should be able at some point to figure out the right sources information and wrong sources information, reliable news and fake news. The social networking. Often when you go to social network or messaging platform, you may be connected with a person, and the person may be just expressing some inappropriate styles and objectives of communication with you, and probably you wouldn't like to get encountered with this person again, so you should be able to protect yourself from being connected to this person. Another relationship, another aspect of this is social psychological security, when you are being communicated by different scammers or blackmailers, and if you were able to actually verify the validity or reliability of the information channels and owners of the information channels, like phone numbers or email accounts that are making requests to you, then you would be able to make right decisions whether to trust this particular request for money or for donation or not. And like I am getting requests for money donation, and right now I need to guess whether that's a gamer or a real person who really needs my help. But if I had a reputation system which would be reliably told me that that's a honest person and that's this honest person which has been ignored, then I would be able to send my money to help the real person who is in real trouble. Financial security is another aspect of this, like it is familiar problem in blockchain, for example, networks, when the people are engaging in financial communications not being governed or regulated by the government or central bank, and if you transfer payments within the blockchain, you are not quite sure if the account that you are sending money for service is reliable or not. This problem can be also solved if the reputation system would be able to provide reliability metrics of each of the participants in the network. You would also be able to assess the reliability of your partners in terms of financial communication. Third application is about building distributed systems. So does anyone, if anyone is familiar with distributed ledger technology and blockchain, any ideas about that? Okay, so there is a known problem in the distributed networks like blockchain and distributed ledger when the people don't have the central bank or authority which coordinates transfers between different wallets. You have just distributed system of nodes, and each node is responsible to keep and maintain all transactions, and there is a process called consensus where every node is agreeing with every other node on the current set of transactions to be agreed for a given period of time. So that's, so to speak, all participants of the financial ecosystem are cooperatively agreeing to maintain the log of the transactions. And the problem which may be appearing here is that there is a need to decide at each point of time who are who can be granted the right to collect the inputs of everyone else and put this transaction in the log and share this log across all the nodes. So there is a process of implicit voting or implicit democratic governance process within the blockchain network or distributed ledger network, and the process is called consensus. And there are different sorts of consensus. The most popular consensus used in most of networks like Ethereum and Steemit is called proof of work, based on the amount of computational resources, and that has its own drawbacks. Another advanced form of consensus is proof of stake, which is based on the amount of financial resources associated with given computing node, and the reputation system is probably another form of consensus that can be used to drive such distributed ecosystems. So if we look into the theory of design of the distributed systems, and any of the community with a weak administration and a weak centralized government can be called distributed, like a blockchain or a marketplace where multiple sellers are selling multiple goods to multiple buyers, and there is no central authority which validates the reliability of every buyer and every seller. So this kind of unmanaged marketplace or unmanaged community can be called distributed network, and the most flexible and the most wild, so to speak, form of the distributed community is peer-to-peer network, where every person has ability to connect or send money or write message to every other person, and there is no any centralized control, and no one cares if there is some abuse or some misbehavior or some hurt caused by one participant to another. So normally, technically speaking, it can be just called anarchy, and it's sometimes it seems very fair, but in the end it doesn't look very efficient and very safe. On the other hand, there is another form of governance of the community, which can be called centralized, when there is a kind of one manager on one central node, which actually coordinates the interactions between every other pair of the participants or the community as a whole. So that's kind of very efficient, and that minimizes the amount of risk and the amount of problems and collisions and damages that can be experienced by any member of managed community, but that may be not very efficient when the amount of nodes to manage is too high. So if you have like 10 people in a military command or in a small company, you can have just one manager or one officer, but if you have millions of people or billions of people or billions of nodes in a network, then you need to build some layers. You need to somehow decentralize the management, so the higher level nodes are managing the lower level nodes, and there may be much lower levels coordinated by, and operated by middle layer nodes, and that's called decentralized environment. And the problem that sometimes the structure of this environment, of such decentralized environment, should be capable to adapt during the life cycle of the system. So if the environment change, you may need to change the number of layers, or vertically, or you need to change the segmentation of the layers, or based on the particular actions being executed within every node on every layer. In some segment of the network, you may have you may need to have 3 layers, and in another segment of the network, you may need to have 10 layers, because the management in this particular segment of the network is more complex than in this segment of the network. And that's what we call liquid decentralization, when the structure of the management of the distributed ecosystem or distributed network may be not static, and that may depend on the current configuration and the relationships between every node in every network based on what we call reputation consensus. So here is an example of how the reputation consensus can be used to improve the governance of the multi-user or distributed system, with example provided for blockchain technology. So for example, and not necessarily blockchain, it may be just any distributed ledger system. Let's say we have 3 different cases where we need to maintain the history of transactions or some states of the distributed ledger expressing the states of the wallets or financial possessions of the people. And the first classical form of consensus, where people are agreeing on who will be the one who writes the next log of a bunch of transactions based on the transaction requests. That decision is based on the proof of work. So effectively, that means amount of computing power how that person or computing node possess. And that's not efficient, because people need to spend lots of computational resources to maintain this form of consensus, and because it is quite easy to hack the entire network if you get too much computational resources, and then you actually may start operating the whole system. Another form of consensus is called proof of stake, and that effectively means that kind of money is governing community. So whenever you attract the more financial resources than the others, then you have generally more rights to own the right to create the new blocks of information, to manage the consensus, and then again that causes the situation when you can hack the entire community just by means of aggregating more money. And the form of consensus that we are suggesting for distributed systems is consensus based on the reputation, where the computing power and the money don't matter. What matters is amount of reputation that you earn in terms of what we call liquid rank or liquid reputation. And the liquid reputation is computed so that the reputation of a person depends on the reputation that the person earns from all of the partners within the system. But it is not as simple as just every person votes for other person and the votes are counting. The votes are weighted by the reputations of the voters. So if I have 5 voters and these voters are voting for me, then the voting process also accounts the amount of reputation these people earn. And these people earn the reputation also in terms of voting process, and when the other people are voting for these people, also depends on the amount of reputation these people acquired. And if I vote for some of these other people, again, this vote is, the weight of the vote is floating around the whole sequence of voting actions within the voting network. So, taking all things together, here is what we assume by the generic purpose reputation system that we are working on. So, there may be different sorts of data, like ratings. Implicit ratings that I provide for person, like I am just placing like on a Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. Stakes. That's amount that's matter of associating this particular like with some amount of money. Like I can, in some of the social networks on blockchain, I can actually provide some money for supporting my vote or my like given to these people. In real life, it can be associated like if some people are providing financial feedback or for sponsorship during election campaign for some candidate to be elected, that can be thought as a stake because the person actually supports the other person with some amount of money, and that's the stake which actually is more valuable just a vote. If I pay to some person, that's more valuable than I just raise the hand for this person because I actually invested my money. The payments. So if we have a financial ecosystem and sending money each to other just in order to buy some goods or buy some services, then that's also indicator. If I am sending some money to some person, buying some goods, then the fact that I'm sending these transactions on a regular basis means that most likely this person is reliable, otherwise I won't be sending the money to this person. Spendings. How much money people are spending on the market. Like if person is spending a lot of money, providing a lot of payments to the other members in community, then each of these spendings may be, then the person might be thought as more reliable than the person who is not buying anything. And that that actually kind of assessment of the raters or the people who provide the reputations has shown that it is quite usable. I'll give you an example why. Because if you create a bot in order to gain the reputation system, the bot wouldn't have this spending value too high, because the bot is just created, the bot has no any buying history, and then if you use this bot account in order to pump the reputations or stars for some fake supplier, then the ratings wouldn't cost much. But if there is a reliable customer who is staying in the network for a long time, and the customer is spending a lot of products over the years, and now this customer is providing the rating to the same fake account, then the value of this rating is high because the customer is well known. So reviews, so that people may be writing reviews, mentions, people may be just mentioning some services or sites or other people in the textual reviews, and so forth. So given the different data sources that can be found in any of the system, and from system to system, kinds of data may be different. Like in the social network, we may have one sort of data, and in the blockchain, we may have another sort of data. In marketplace, we may have third sort of data. Given all that information, we can actually compute the results. So the results are on the right. So we can call them rank or reputation or karma or social capital of any participant of the network. And there are a few principles of how we actually do the computation. The first principle is what we call liquid ranking or liquid rank. So that means that when we compute reputation of a person A by means of rating coming from person B, then the rating of the person B should be accounted as well. And then if the person B is having reputation computed from person C, reputation of person C should be considered as well. Weighting ranking or weighted ranking. That means that each rating given from a person to person can have a weight. And the weight may be not just the amount of reputation that the rater has given to the other person. It may be also amount of financial transaction. Like if I am just buying some milk or some cigarettes or pack of bread, I'm spending that amount of money, and then if I provide high reputation with this transaction, that's may have some value, but the value might be not really significant. But if I'm buying something really expensive, like a car or a house, and providing this reputation, then my reputation may be weighted with amount of money that I actually invest into this transaction. Time scoping. The computation process applied to the reputation computations should be accounting the time scale. For example, if I am being assessed in terms of my reputation, then the transactions that I had and the ratings that I had yesterday are more important than what I had two years ago. Because I may be really bad guy, or maybe I was not a good vendor 2 years ago, and I have got a lot of negative ratings 2 years ago, but over the time I have improved my skills, and now I am providing high quality services, and so now I am getting high reputations and high ratings, and so my current reputations should be much higher than 2 years ago. And the other way around, I may be high performing 2 years ago, but since then I have substantial degradation of my skills and my responsibility, and so now I'm getting worse ratings and my reputation should go down. Another few interesting requirements for the reputation system that we can consider is having the data and the code opened for examination, because if you don't have the data open, you can actually speculate or manipulate with the reputation data on itself. Like if you own the reputation computation facility or software or a system, then you can actually be corrupted to insert in some data into the system, and the data may be actually and this data may be injected into the system in favor to one or another particular vendor. So it should be a way to do the audit of the data computed for the reputation. The third, another requirement is having the code opened. For example, the code that we are writing for the reputation system is open source. So the reputation system that we have is implemented in Java and in Python, and that's MIT license. And it's available for use in any other projects. And the reason for having this code opened is so that people who actually see the ratings or reputations computed for them, or companies see the ratings or reputations computed for them, they should be able to actually understand the reason why they are getting higher or lower scores, so there is no unjustified complaints in respect that some companies are, or people are rated higher than the, or lower than the others. Another interesting aspect of the requirement for the reputation system is the precedence of human rights. And that may happen when the computing environments in a few years or maybe a few tens of years may be populated with artificial beings, like artificial devices, artificial agents, who may be also given a right to make purchases, to provide the ratings. They may be also spending some money, and there may be some ethical or legal question whether these entities have a right to provide the ratings. And if they have to provide the ratings, then there may be a question if the ratings are provided by some device or some AI solution in respect to some human are more important than the ratings provided by real humans to the same human. So who actually owns the right to maintain the consensus? And the answer that we have in our community so far is that everyone, the humans and artificial intelligence systems, can collaboratively maintain the hybrid human AI consensus. However, the human have precedence. So if there is a decision of whose ratings value more, humans or machines, then the humans' values should take substantially more importance. So here's an example of the reputation system that we are creating for marketplaces. So the code that we are writing is generic purpose, so it can consume any kind of ratings and can in either form of as I listed, it can be ratings, stakes, payments, spendings, reviews, so all sorts of transactions can be accepted. But if we have a marketplace with buyers who buy the goods and sellers who sell the goods or services, then all of the transactions are very simple. We have just purchases, like someone sells and another one buys, and the value of the transaction is estimated in terms of money being committed during this transaction, and the rating. So optionally, the buying transaction may be also connected with the rating. So just two forms of interaction can be possible on the marketplace. But there may be complex networks of vendors and suppliers who are also vendors. So we can have quite different configurations of the supply chains within the ecosystem. And for this kind of marketplaces, one of them is Amazon, another one is Alibaba, and in SingularityNet project we are creating our own marketplace, and SingularityNet marketplace is kind of marketplace where the buyers of the artificial intelligence services can find the sellers of the artificial intelligence services. So here we are creating the reputation system which can help the buyers to find the most reliable sellers, like on Amazon. So you want to buy something, you get 100 buyers, and you use the reputation system to find who is the very top, so you get them first in your selection process. So here is the weighted liquid rank algorithm which we suggest for the reputation system design and implementation, and which is actually implemented in our open source code. So briefly speaking, the liquid rank algorithm works as follows. Let's say we start with day one. So today we start using our reputation system, and at the beginning of the day everyone is equal, so everyone has reputation 5 stars or 1.0 or 100%. So from the very beginning everyone have the highest reputation, and we start exchanging some transactions, sending some money each to one to others, and providing some ratings each to other. At the end of the day we just count the ratings that everyone of us has got, and we provide the rank by the end of the day. And someone of us is getting higher ratings, and someone of us is getting lower ratings, and someone of us has got lowest ratings. And with this distribution of ratings, we are entering day 2. So on the day 2, we start with the ratings earned by the end of the day 1, and during day 2, we exchange more transactions. And maybe other people are coming to our community, and they are exchanging transactions as well. So after the end, when we compute the reputation at the end of the day 2, we perform the computation of the reputation with account to the reputations on the day 1st. So now we know that the ratings of the participants are not the same, and when the ratings are turned into reputation scores, each of the ratings is accounting for the reputation of those who provide the ratings. So the liquid rank is working, so we weight the ratings in terms of reputation score of the rating. So we compute the ratings at the end of the day 2. So now we have the reputation score at the day 1 and at the day 2, and we need to somehow merge them. And the way we merge them, we just take them together with the new day having more importance than the last day. Because as I told, if I improve over the time, I need to have a chance to have my reputation improved. So this way, we are moving from day 1 to day 2, from day 2 from day 3, and our reputations are being transferred from day to day with a possibility to improve over time or decay over time based on the way our performance change. And here is the example that we have on the simulation on the marketplace. So what we do to verify the validity of our work and efficiency of our solution, we just took the Amazon marketplace and we tried to simulate the behavior of the sellers and the buyers on Amazon. So we weren't able to actually get the real data from Amazon because that's closed. And so what we did, we have studied some partial interactions for some particular products, and we extended the data set with simulation data. So we had tens of thousands of accounts pretending to be real buyers and real sellers. We nominated some of them to be honest suppliers and some of them to be dishonest suppliers trying to sell low quality goods. And then for buyers and for buyers, we also separated buyers. So some of the buyers were honest buyers, and then other buyers were just scammers or bots or those people who are actually being hired to provide the fake ratings. And what we did, we let the system run for a long time, like 1 year. Actually, we tried to use different time periods. Most typical intervals were half year and the entire year. And we tried to apply let the system work in different conditions. Condition number 1, when there is no reputation system at all. So like people are interacting in the wild and making the choices randomly. Another kind of reputation system that we tried is when people are actually using very simple reputation system based just on number of ratings. So we don't consider weighting these ratings, we don't consider that liquid rank, we don't consider these different sorts of assessing the reliability of the rater itself, we just count the votes, so to speak. And that was kind of a regular reputation system. And then we have tried different versions of our liquid rank reputation system where we were able to assess reliability of the raters, so we can figure out whether the raters are bots or honest raters to some extent. And here are the results that we can get with our advanced reputation system. So the blue arrow, the blue circles or the blue periods are the gamers or the sellers of the low quality goods who are trying to buy the reputations to pump the stars and to get inappropriate high star reputations. And the blue periods are honest customers. Sorry, not customers, honest sellers. So the honest sellers are not buying reputation. They have organic sales and they have organic and high quality products, and using our reputation system we can clearly identify that most except one these honest suppliers are getting below 50% reputation threshold, and most of the high quality suppliers not cheating the reputation, they are close to the 100 reputation threshold. And what we can, if we consider 50% reputation threshold, we can then consider that a single one on the left as a false negative, and the guys around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 5 blue periods on the right can be considered as false positive. So unfortunately, the system is not ideal, so we still may, even if we distinguish the bad guys on the below 50% and good guys below 75 clearly, in most of cases, some of honest sellers are getting below 50% threshold because of the distributed nature of the community, and because still there is no centralized governance on the quality, so it all depends on the math and probabilistic distributions of the ratings during the simulation. And in fact, the way how the false positive is connected with false negative depends on the settings. Like if we change the parameters of the reputation system, we can see that maybe these blue guys are getting closer to 100%, so there will be less false positive, but then more red guys may be coming above 50%, so we may not be able to identify the scammers as good as we can identify them now. Here is another example of how the reputation system behave based on the different configurations. So what we see here are 4 blocks. So the block number 1, from the top to bottom, the blocks are connected with different scam periods. So the scam period 182 days means that the people are just getting into the scammers are starting to sell low quality goods in the network, and they have fake accounts pretending to be real humans, acting very carefully and not very aggressively, so they pretend to be real humans. And on the other hand, if we have scam period 10 days, that means that low quality goods and sellers of low quality goods appear on the market at day 1, and they have a massive campaign of very many bots or fake ratings provided at a high pace, at a high rate, and during the 10 days they have a lot of fake reputations, and so they, in this case, they can get more profits, because people not have honest consumers don't have a way to adapt to this intervention with the fake ratings. So what we see here, also within each block we have 5 different reputation systems. So if there is no in reputation system, we just have no reputation system at all. The regular means a regular reputation system based just on the count of the ratings. And the other 3, weighted and Tom-based and SOM-based, are reputation systems based on the liquid rank. Like, for example, Tom-weighted reputation system means that we weight each rating based on the amount of money associated with the transaction. TOM-based, that means time on the market-based reputation system, where the reliability or reputation score of each rater who provides the rating depends on the amount of time this rater stays on the market, the duration of the presence of the rater on the market. And the spending on the market or SOM-based reputation assumes that amount of value or amount of importance paid to particular rating made by participant depends on the total amount of spending that the person has left in this environment. So, so what we see here is that whenever and regardless whatever scam period you use, if you use a regular reputation system, that it's always red. And the red color means that the people are losing money by paying this money to scammers more than it were if there were no reputation system at all. Like, for example, you can see the column number 3, loss to scam. So loss to scam indicates percentage of the money that honest buyers on the market send to the scammers or to dishonest suppliers. So we see that whenever there is a regular reputation system, loss to scam is greater than there is no reputation system at all. So the loss to scam always increase with the regular reputation system. But if we start applying advanced liquid rank reputation system based on the weighting the ratings or weighting the importance of the raters based on the time on the market or spending that they have on the market, then we can see that for every scam period, we can actually make the loss to scam less than if we, in case that we have no reputation system at all, or then if we have just regular reputation system. And especially it gets noticeable when we have reputation systems, when we have smaller scam periods, which is close to real scam campaigns. Because in real scam campaigns, scammers do try to operate quickly. They create fake accounts, they fake low quality goods, but when then they are discovered, they create another fake accounts. So the real patterns of the scammers are actually about having shorter scam periods. And so it shows that using the liquid rank reputation algorithm, we can actually move from the red and yellow to green areas and making people to lose 10 times less to scam than in case of when there is a conventional reputation system or no reputation system at all. The other few things to sum up that we are doing is we are applying our technology to social networks as well. So for example, if you consider a person interacting with social network like Google Plus or Facebook or using messengers, the person is having multiple contacts with his or her peers, and the person may be able to make sense of the contacts that the person is interacting with. So that can be a matter of analysis of all interactions, and using this analysis we can maintain different relationships. Like you can figure out the structure of your community. You can figure out that some of the people in your community are more like followers who follow others, others are more like opinion leaders and who deserve substantial attention, so you can follow them. Some of the people are more like good friends and colleagues who interact with each other in the semi-equal way, like real peers, or there may be people like connectors who have few attention leaders who they listen to, and they have a lot of followers who are being used to spread the information to them from the other leaders, and you can use the social network graphs that you explore from your social environments in order to study the opinion leaders from your community. So in my case, you may find out who are the influencers, who are agenda makers, and who are the owners of the social structures. In our product, we also use this for collaborative news filtering. So when you have a social environment and you have a news feed being annotated or commented by all members of your community, you can have your relevance of the news in your news feed being rated in terms of liquid rank because of the relationship to these news articles by all members of your community. So that's what we are doing, and also we can do this with integrated data. For example, if the platform that you have, like a smart city or environment in a smart city, if this platform contains all sorts of data, financial, informational, messages, text communications, votes, then the whole bunch of heterogeneous information can be used to maintain the complete picture of the society and picture of the social interactions, like we can do, for example, for social networks based on the blockchain, where we have all sorts of information in one system: financial, communication, and emotional. So thank you.
Thank you, Anton Kolonin. Are there any questions from the audience? No questions? Then we'll head on to the Slidos.
So put it simple, you just take the number of ratings in any form. It can be a number or it can be financial value. So the ratings are eventually normalized in the range 1 to 0. So you just take all the ratings, which can be weighted or not, and if they are weighted, you also normalize them to range 1 to 0, and you just sum up all the ratings that you have get for every account for a particular period of time. And once you have sum them up, you may optionally apply logarithm to this sum up, or don't apply the logarithm. Whether the logarithm is applied is a matter of configuration, but you just normalize them back to the range 1 to 0. So it's just multiple sorts of rounds of normalization with optional logarithm, and in between of these normalizations, different sort of weightings. Weight by financial value of transaction, weight by the weight reputation of the rater. So it's just weighting, normalization, and aggregation. We have a paper on this, and we have the open source code, so you can get the paper or code if needed. So I will answer from the very last question. So in order to completely shut it down, you need to have completely efficient censorship. So there should be no any what is called freedom of speech, and should be total control and total verification of every piece of information being published online. The problem is that this won't be too democratic, first, so that will be not much freedom, and second, it will be very expensive, because it's quite difficult to control over every message sent on every piece of media. So that's why it's not completely possible in the end. And why it is still happening? Because the people, I believe, are making business out of spreading fake news, like people are making business of providing fake ratings on the marketplaces. So some people are making money providing fake ratings for fake products on Amazon, and some people are making money providing fake news in the political space for political reasons. Just presenting these things at conferences like that. I have lots of medium publications on the matter.
Are there any more questions from the audience by now? No? Then I will thank Anton Kolonin once more. Please give him a big applause.